Look at this sprawling valley. When you stare out at a landscape this vast, it is easy to feel small. Or consider one of the largest animals walking through it, an African elephant. But how does nature actually build something this massive? If you want to construct a sturdy house, you cannot build the whole thing at once. You have to stack hundreds of individual solid bricks, one by one. Biology works in the exact same way. Even a highly active, complex human being is put together block by block. If we were to zoom far past the skin, deep into the tissue, we would eventually reach the microscopic level. Here we find tightly packed, tiny living units doing all the heavy lifting. Whether it is a giant elephant, a towering tree, or you sitting right there, every living thing on Earth is built from trillions of these fundamental microscopic units. We call them cells. Because we look at them in textbooks, it is easy to think of cells as flat drawings on a page.
But they are actually three-dimensional, like tiny water balloons or shoeboxes, filled with specialized working parts. This 3D model shows the inside of a typical animal cell. Right in the center is the nucleus. Think of it as the headmaster of a school. It holds all the genetic instructions and directs everything the cell does. Wrapping around the outside is the cell membrane. It acts like a strict security gate, carefully controlling which nutrients are allowed inside and which waste products get pushed out. Filling the space inside is a jelly-like fluid called cytoplasm. This is where all the cell's internal parts float and where vital chemical reactions happen. And these smaller structures are the mitochondria. They act as microscopic power generators, releasing the energy the cell needs to stay alive. Altogether, the animal cell is a flexible, self-contained machine. Its soft borders make it perfectly suited for organisms that need to bend, run, and hunt for resources. Plants, however, face a different survival problem. A mango tree cannot pull up its roots and walk over to a water source or seek shelter. To survive standing entirely still, its cells require distinct structural upgrades. Looking at this 3D model of a plant cell, the first upgrade is immediately visible outside the membrane, a thick, rigid layer called a cell wall. It locks the cell into a fixed shape and stops it from bursting when it takes in heavy rainwater. The second upgrade is a set of microscopic kitchens called chloroplasts. Since plants cannot hunt for food, these structures trap sunlight to manufacture their own meals directly from the air and water. Inside these chloroplasts is a special pigment known as chlorophyll. This specific chemical is the reason why most plant leaves appear bright green. The final upgrade is this massive storage tank taking up the middle, called the large central vacuole. It holds water and sap, keeping the inside completely firm so the plant can stand tall against gravity. When we view them side by side on this comparison chart, the differences stand out. The plant cell is fixed, rectangular, and heavily armored, while the animal cell is round, soft, and flexible. Whether rigid and self-feeding like a plant, or flexible and mobile like an animal, a cell's exact layout is precisely built to solve the everyday survival challenges of the living thing it belongs to. Of course, a single microscopic block can only do so much on its own. Complex life requires enormous teamwork. When hundreds of identical cells lock together, they form a larger, stronger structure. We call this working group a tissue. For example, a single muscle cell joins with countless others to become a flexible band of muscle tissue. When different types of tissues, like muscle tissue and nerve tissue and blood tissue, combine to perform a major task, they create an organ, such as a beating heart. This diagram traces that progression up to the next level. When multiple organs link up, they form an organ system, like the circulatory system that pumps energy through your veins. And finally, when several systems operate all at the same time, like the skeletal, muscular, and nervous systems, they sustain the whole living creature, known as an organism. We see the results of this perfectly tuned machinery when people move, breathe, and dance. Every time you watch life growing in the soil or moving across the savanna, you are watching the synchronized teamwork of trillions of tiny living building blocks.